reports.
Let's raise tonight's big question. The UPA is clearly in a crisis. Is it time for the Prime Minister to come clean? Tonight, our focus on the role that Manmohan Singh must now play in the days and weeks ahead. Joining us now, with me in the studio, the man who really, in a sense, has started it all or ignited it all, Dr. Subramanian Swamy, President of the Janata Party, Sanjay Nirupam, Member of Parliament and Spokesperson of the Congress, Smriti Irani, Member of Parliament and Spokesperson of the BJP, and N. Ram, Editor-in-Chief of The Hindu. Before I come to my panelists, let's raise that question. Is it time for the Prime Minister to come clean on the 2G mess? Let's raise some questions that the PM may have to answer. Was Dr. Manmohan Singh aware of the contents of the Finance Ministry's note on 2G, which raised questions over Mr. Chidambaram? Did Dr. Manmohan Singh discuss the contents of this letter with his senior ministers, including Mr. P. Chidambaram? Was the Prime Minister fully aware of the out-of-turn allotments that were allegedly made by A. Raja that have put him in jail? Could Dr. Manmohan Singh have stopped the telecom license process initiated by Mr. Raja? Just some of the questions that we want to raise. First to you, Dr. Swamy, your attack almost relentlessly has been on Mr. Chidambaram, particularly in the last couple of weeks. Yeah. What about the Prime Minister? If, as now Pranab Mukherjee is saying, that this note was vetted by him, but had inputs from the PMO, from the Principal Secretary of the Prime Minister, the Cabinet Secretary, should the Prime Minister not tell us whether he was aware of its contents all these months?
Yes. Well, I started first with Raja because he was a decision maker. Then with Kannimozhi because she received the money. Then in the case of Mr. Dayanidhi Maran, it was basically because he may have forced a Malaysian company to get a benefit which was really going to an Indian. When I came to Mr. Chidambaram, I only took it up because he was a decision maker. In fact, I found him to be the senior partner in the decision making with Raja. He was empowered to make a decision by the cabinet resolution of the NDA government. He was then himself aware of that mandate, and he wrote to Raja, let us come to an agreement. They had 4 meetings and they finally decided, and then went and told the Prime Minister. Where does the Prime Minister come in this? He comes in a commission of a civil wrong that he knew it was wrong, but he did not set it right. That is a subject that will come later after all the principal actors who have committed the criminal
but the Prime Minister is the head of the government. You're saying the head of the government knew that something wrong was going on. You're dismissing it as a civil wrong. You're saying it's a sin of omission at best, is it?
No, I'm not saying that. It was consciously by the entire cabinet. It was decentralized. The power was delegated.
Was that a mistake? Was that a mistake by the Prime Minister?
And in such a big, it's not a Prime Minister's decision. No, a Prime Minister, we know.
But should he come clean? Should he say who were the ministers? Should he say that I had delegated this to Mr. Chidambaram and Mr. Chidambaram failed me? Is that what you're saying?
He didn't delegate it. It was delegated by the NDA government. He went along. That was wrong on his part. He has always been a weak Prime Minister. I have never called him a strong Prime Minister. And he should have definitely come clean to the public on this. Coming clean is a responsibility. It's in a democracy.
Okay, coming clean is his responsibility. Mr. N. Ram, you've been a critic of the Prime Minister over the way he's handled this issue. You know, Subramanian Swamy saying the Prime Minister must come clean. There are various issues. For example, the Hindu today has a front page story about the Prime Minister's comments on Dayanidhi Maran, the manner in which Dayanidhi Maran virtually arm-twisted the Prime Minister to say spectrum pricing must be kept out of the group of ministers. Now, these are issues surely that the Prime Minister must tell the nation exactly the sequence of events, Mr. Ram.
Yes, absolutely. He has not been straightforward in handling this issue. In fact, Chidambaram apart, Raja met the Prime Minister, and there is a lot of correspondence and records of meetings between the two where the Prime Minister expressed apprehensions about what is going on. He gave a note to Raja. In fact, all that has been published. It's in the public domain. And yet he did not intervene. And to say that I have full confidence in X and Y, I'm not prejudging them. I'm not on the criminal angle at this point. It's before the courts. It's under investigation. But in terms of politics and accountability, it's shocking that the Prime Minister has adopted this stance, reacting to events as they unfold. and basically denying everything. Now they're even questioning.
So what would you like the Prime Minister to do?
The magnitude of the scam.
What would you like the Prime Minister? What would give you a sense that the Prime Minister is fully in control, is acting Prime Ministerial? When would you be convinced, Mr. Ram?
Only if the Prime Minister speaks the truth, comes out and says so and so did wrong. Let him say it's a policy blunder, but let him come out and let him not defend the indefensible in these cases. At the very least, he should say this was a huge blunder, and it had a criminal aspect. And let him not defend those who knew better and did not intervene in time.
You know, Sanjay Nirupam respond to that.
You can't be selective. You can't just sacrifice. Excuse me. You can't just sacrifice one person, Raja, and say all the others were clean.
Okay, point taken. Sanjay Nirupam, has the time come then for the Prime Minister to come clean? He has to tell the country very clearly, let's assume this was a wrong policy decision. Maybe policy decisions go wrong in hindsight. Why doesn't he come clean and say that? Instead of saying everything that my ministers, I have full confidence in my ministers, why does he not say that maybe mistakes were made? Isn't that a better way to perhaps move ahead, to put this behind him?
Rajdeep, first of all, we'll have to understand there are 2 points in the whole controversy. One thing is the policy decision, and the second thing is the implementation of the policy or the decision. The implementation part is with Telecom Ministry. But as far as the policy decision is concerned, the whole cabinet is involved in it. Number of ministers and the ministries are involved in it. Prime Minister Office is of course involved in it. But the point is whether that policy decision was wrong. This is a vital
but
question.
Sanjay Nirupam, all the facts.
No, Rajdeep, please don't divert my mind. Please don't divert me. Please don't divert me. Please let me complete. Please let me complete.
Sure.
Now the point is, there is a policy in our country which is in continuance since 2001. And in the framework of that policy, the mandate is with TRAI. TRAI means the regulatory authority of the telecom sector. TRAI is to be decide whether the spectrum has to be given without auction or some price has to be put on it. So TRAI gave the recommendation that we have to give this license on the same entry level on what we had given earlier to the different operators.
Mr. Nirupam, the point I want to know is that it takes a right to information and a Subramanian Swamy for us to find out that there is a finance ministry note which says that maybe Mr. Chidambaram could have prevented Mr. Raja. It takes an RTI and an investigation by CN and IBN to show that Mr. Maran was kept out, forced the Prime Minister to keep spectrum pricing out of the GOM. It forces a newspaper like the Pioneer and a reporter like Gopi Krishnan to come with a series of reports that show that something was going wrong. My point is, if the media and RTI was not there, business would be as usual. That's the worry. That's the question mark over this entire question. Why does it require external agencies? Why doesn't the Prime Minister come and say, yes, maybe there were coalition compulsions, maybe the DMK was twisting his arm twisting him? Say it. What is wrong in saying it? What is wrong in admitting it?
Rajdeep, what is to be told by Prime Minister, what is to be said by Prime Minister cannot be decided by you or me. So please don't put your words in Prime Minister's mouth. One thing. You are making 2 major points.
Yes.
First of all, of course, we are living in RTI regime. So because of RTI, the public, the people at large have got lot of access to the different the correspondence and the information. So it is very good in a sense. But the most important thing what you are making is about that controversial note. What is that controversial note? It is just basically a compilation of sequence of events. And these events are basically known to everybody, particularly in the CAG report. All this correspondence, all the information about different meetings are very well mentioned.
Okay.
So it is a fact. It is a fact that Mr. Chidambaram could have stopped it. But Mr. Chidambaram basically went away with the recommendation of TRAI. That has to be understood by the people.
Okay, let Subramanian Swamy, are we making too much of this note? Is what the Congress will keep on saying?
Well, first of all, it's not a note. I have been a minister. I know the difference between a note and an office memorandum. It's got a file number also on the thing. when an official memorandum is prepared, it is not the work of a single officer. Second, to say it's a junior official, it's a deputy director. When I became minister, I got the appointment letter signed by a deputy director. That is his job. Yes. He is functioning. So it's has the stamp of authority of having been considered. Now we know, thanks to you, that so many other agencies were involved. There was an input. The Prime Minister wanted something as a background note for him to speak in Parliament. And this describes many things. I don't want to go into the road. But I will say this, that it's not a question of Mr. Chidambaram only being in a position to stop it. He was an active participant in deciding the two major decisions which are taken as offences.
If what you're saying is true, if what you're saying, and it's still the subject of an investigation, if it happens, Smriti Irani, the question is, all this is still in the realm of speculation. It's not yet proven that Mr. Chidambaram had any pecuniary benefit or there is any criminality. But the BJP has already called for his head. You've already called for his resignation. You are already saying that the Prime Minister also was aware. The point is that can we pronounce guilt even while an investigation is on the basis of a finance ministry note or on the basis of correspondence exchange between ministers?
I'd like to intervene.
Yeah, quick response.
All I'm asking is, the Supreme Court, is that Mr. Chidambaram should be also questioned.
All you're asking that Mr. Chidambaram should be questioned?
In the Supreme Court, yes.
Okay. You're not asking for the Prime Minister, interestingly, to be questioned?
Not yet.
Not yet. But you're asking for Mr. Chidambaram. Yes, Priti Irani. You too are only asking for Mr. Chidambaram to be questioned?
But just like Mr. Swamy has said, I'm not a legal like he is. But there are 2-3 points that I would like to highlight here. A, the BJP is responding on the basis of facts which are coming into the public domain due to this entire controversy which is currently transpired or come to light because of the note. There is this whole question of criminal culpability, and I'm sure Mr. Swamy can answer better. But as a very normal citizen of this nation, I would like to know that aiding and abetting a crime by looking away, knowing fully well that a policy and a step taken by the minister, a minister who is in jail today for that supposed crime, will that not constitute at least reason enough for Mr. Chidambaram to be investigated? Now, when the CBI itself says that the note has absolutely no value and need not be brought up for investigation, don't you think it's valid for the opposition or any citizen in this country to ask why? On what basis
I'm finding
is
it interesting
given to Mr. Chidambaram?
I'm finding it interesting that your entire focus is on Mr. Chidambaram, when Mr. Chidambaram is part of the Council of Ministers headed by Dr. Manmohan Singh.
I would like to answer, because my answer is also based on what Mr. Nirupam has just said. Mr. Nirupam has said, well, the facts are out in the open that yes, we did look away. Facts are out in the open that yes, Maran did arm twist. But this is a very old Congress policy. It uses allies to indulge in corrupt cases and corrupt acts, and then lets go of those allies and wants the entire focus of the law.
May I finish, Mr. Nirupam? DMK. What all I have said that this policy is in continuance
by the DMK.
Since 2001, and you only started it. The BJP started this policy. That's all I have said.
Mr.
So please
Nirupam,
don't put your words in my mouth.
One by one.
As far as
Yes,
nobody's putting any words in your mouth.
But don't use your words in my mouth.
I'm sure you'll have words of your own to say.
Okay,
may I just finish?
Yes,
the
finish.
TRAI that you are talking about has said very categorically that prices need to be reassessed on the basis of current market mechanisms and prices. Now, that being said, since Mr. Nirupam doesn't want me to quote him, let me quote the DMK. When this whole note came into the picture, the DMK said officially in a public statement that Raja today stands vindicated, which obviously makes us believe that Raja has been saying that I have not looted the country alone. There are other members of the cabinet who've been helpful, there are other members of the cabinet who are in the know, and the Prime Minister was included. Now, this is a Prime Minister, unfortunately, who, when the 2G spectrum debate took place in Parliament, continued to deny it till there was intervention by the court and people like A. Raja and Kanimudi went to jail. This is a Prime Minister who's on record stating that Raja is innocent. Then, after media focus and public pressure, this is a Prime Minister who said, well, these are compulsions of coalition politics. Now, Prime Minister, who has given a clean chit to Raja, today seeks to give clean chits to his own Home Minister. The question arises that does the buck stop with the Prime Minister or not?
Okay, that's the important question. I think you raise a valid question. Does the buck stop with the Prime Minister or not? That's the real question, isn't it, Enram? Somewhere the Prime Minister has to take, because otherwise Pranab Mukherjee fighting with Chidambaram, that's one part of it. What about the Prime Minister and his Prime Ministerial authority? Could he not have stopped Mr. Raja from making out-of-turn allotments? If Mr. Chidambaram could have stopped them, so could the Prime Minister of the country.
Absolutely, because as I said, he handed over a note to Mr. Raja expressing apprehensions. He had been briefed by industry and other sources, and he definitely had his suspicions. Just read that note, it's documented. Secondly, the buck must stop with him, but he's now trying to pass it on to the foreign hand, conspiracy theories and so on. And I was quite disturbed to read about his comments on board the aircraft, Air Force One, if you like, or Air India One rather, when they returned.
Right.
He said that people are trying to destabilize it, you know, some other forces apart from the opposition. What does he expect? The job of the opposition is to pounce on mistakes made by the government.
Right.
Job of the opposition is to is to gain ground, whichever party you belong to, and he's
you believe the buck stops with the Prime Minister? Yeah. You believe the buck stops with the Prime Minister, Mr. Ram?
Not only that, the Prime Minister could have prevented the scam had he intervened in at least the half knowledge that there was something very fishy about it.
You know,
and he failed to do it. This is a huge... I am not questioning his honesty. I believe that this Prime Minister is personally honest. There's no question. I have no question about it. I know him.
But you can be personally honest and be Dhritarashtra.
It was a huge failure.
You can be personally honest and be Dhritarashtra. You can be personally honest, Sanjay Nirupam, and be Dhritarashtra. You have a correspondence with Mr. Raja between November of 2007 and January. You eventually tell your officials to keep Raja at arm's length, and the decisions he takes at arm's length. What does that show? Is Mr. Chidambaram going to be blamed, or is Mr. Pranab Mukherjee going to be blamed? What about the Prime Minister? Yes, Mr.
Rajdeep, unfortunately, you all are getting carried away with BJP.
Okay.
I really feel pity on BJP, which is every day changing its stand, or one day they will demand resignation from Sheila Dixit, the other day they will demand resignation from Chidambaram, the other day they will demand resignation from Prime Minister. What is this going on?
Yes.
See, there are number of letters, number of correspondence moving around, and so that doesn't mean on each and every allegation our Minister or Prime Minister should resign. If it is like that, there was an allegation that Sushma Swaraj has been patronizing Reddy brothers. Did Sushma Swaraj resign? One. Second point, Sushma Swaraj herself made an allegation that no, it was not me. It was Arun Jaitley who made Reddy brothers minister. So did Arun Jaitley resign after that allegation? So these kind of things are basically nonsense.
Okay.
So let us not get into all these things.
Before I come to Mr. Swamy.
Supreme Court hearing.
Okay, point taken. I think the point which will consistently be made by the Congress, Smriti Irani, and which the BJP will somewhere have to answer. These are all matters in the judicial domain. Yes, we are arguing them in television studios. Allegations are being made, but can they be the basis of resignation? Can allegations become the basis of resignation, be it of a Home Minister, be it tomorrow of a Prime Minister?
Well, firstly, I would like to say that the Congress... May I
finish quickly.
I think you've got enough time to vent yourself.
Yes,
I think that the Congress has a very old habit of shooting the messenger and not reading the message properly. Today the country is demanding why is it that Mr. Chidambaram cannot be questioned on such a humongous scam, and why is it the Prime Minister's office needs to step in and shield him or give him a certificate. Now this is a government which, when the CAG report on civil aviation and Air India had come out, had left Praful Patel to fend for himself, whereas the group of ministers headed by Mr. Chidambaram had recommended buying of those aircrafts. So somewhere there is a very big, I think the UPA has to kind of answer this for itself. Why is it that the allies are left to fend for themselves when a crime is committed, but those from the Congress party who have aided and abetted in the crime will get a clean sheet?
Okay. You made some...
Rajdeep, I wanted an answer from Smriti Irani regarding Sushma Swaraj and Arun Jaitley's resignation with regard to Reddy brothers corruption. Now Reddy brothers are very much behind the bar.
On national TV, I invite
Yes.
I invite, like the BJP has said, on every issue an investigation and debate if you have the guts. You speak about Sheila Dikshit, there is a CAG report indicting her, there is a Shunglu committee report indicting her. You speak about Mr. Chidambaram, there is reason enough to ensure that the Home Minister of our country is investigated.
Who are now behind the bar?
I am giving you my response with regard to Reddy brothers. I am giving you my regard. I am giving my response, Mr. Nirupam. I am not quiet. I guess you have a habit of not listening to points of view that don't agree with you. I am inviting and challenging you to do any investigation, but the question that arises is that your way of ensuring that congressmen who commit a crime in this country are allowed to get away?
Okay,
so
point second. No, leave it now.
I got your point. I got your point. You are inviting.
I need Dr. Swamy.
Rajdeep, 1 minute. Rajdeep, 1 minute. You are inviting for any sort of investigation.
Okay.
Hang on.
Rajdeep, 1 minute.
Hold on.
He is inviting for any sort of investigation as far as the Reddy brothers are concerned. Let's not
run away from the issue today. Today's issue is 2G. Hold on.
Let me answer.
I've got to switch off the mics for a moment. No, I think you both answered. Dr. Swamy.
Yes.
You know, I'm going to come back to where I started.
Yes.
We have reached a stage now in this investigation where day by day new facts come, often not from the government. Has the time come? That's where I come. Has the time come for all this correspondence, everything to be placed before the nation? Let the country decide, let the courts decide. Till then, let's stop all the allegations, let's stop all the demands for resignation. Let's first see correspondence and see if there is criminal culpability based on that correst.
Well, you see, it's already happening in the courts. First of all, let me say...
So let this battle be fought in the courts.
No, it is being fought. Let's first of all know that Mr. Chidambaram is not only being defended by the Prime Minister by saying I have confidence in him, but the President of the Congress Party has also issued a fatwa saying that everybody should defend Chidambaram. That's come in the media. Now, the issue is this, that we are asking for an inquiry. Mr. Chidambaram is involved in the process. Section 161 of the CRPC says anyone familiar with the commission of the crime should be investigated. Why is there saying he should not be investigated?
That's the limited point.
Yes,
that is the limited point. You're not saying that he's criminal culpability. You're not saying that there's criminal culpability.
I have said from very day one that criminal culpability I'll prove in the trial.
So till such time as you prove it, till such time as the opposition is able to show, for example, that the Prime Minister directly knew of what was happening, till such time should we all keep our swords?
No. Because if an inquiry takes place, Mr. Chidambaram must not be in that post. How can the CBI investigate with Mr. Chidambaram, who is holding the confidential records of all IPS officers who are in the CBI, have a fair investigation?
Okay.
So he must quit. There's no question about that. I support the BJP demand for it, and I've been saying that much earlier.
Right.
But in any case, the most important point is that in the event...
And if the Prime Minister continues to defend Mr. Chidambaram?
If Mr. Prime Minister defends, then he too must go. He cannot defend. But I don't think he has so far defended. He has made a general statement.
He says I have full confidence.
He said I have full confidence in all my ministers.
Yes.
He did not say Chidambaram in particular. But anyway, I would say that today the court told the government, give us the entire file. We want to see whether in fact the documents which Mr. Swamy has brought on record was known to the finance secretary when he made his deposition in the court.
Okay.
So that is the beginning. There are 11,000 pages of documents, of which CBI so far only brought 80,000 out.
Okay.
Those remaining are very damaging records. They are going to come out one by one.
And you're saying for the Prime Minister's sake, at least, the Prime Minister must come clean.
Absolutely.
Must tell the country where he stands.
Make a statement, an open press conference, and answer questions from everybody.
Okay. Dr. Swamy, N. Ram, Sanjay Nirupam, Smriti Irani, appreciate your joining us here on our talking point tonight. Maybe the time has come for Dr. Manmohan Singh to stand up and be counted.